For the Autumn Nations Rugby Show. So we get up and running this weekend, 6 matches, but on Friday night it's Ireland against the All Blacks. Great news is they just don't like each other very much. They have a great recent history, some big losses, some big wins too. It's going to be a fabulous night. But it's an interesting one as well because one of the stars in the Irish team was born in New Zealand, James Lowe. And one of his coaches was his former PE teacher, Andrew Goodman. You couldn't write it.
I first came across Goody. He was a teacher at Nelson College. Goody's family is pretty entrenched in the rugby scene in Nelson. He was my rugby coach for under 14s. Learned heaps from him in school. Honestly, this man's a genius. Like, every subject under the sun, you really were good at it, don't you?
Ireland putting it through the hands for the first time.
We've had a lot of shared experiences and understand, I don't know, sort of the philosophy and the way that we like to play the game, and to have Andrew come over here and try and teach that way of rugby, the communication style, the fact that, you know, everyone's opinion actually really matters and he wants people to speak up and give ideas. One of his first sessions at Leinster, he said he had no ego. He understood that, you know, there was hundreds of international caps sitting in the room staring at him, and he was the one supposed to teach them what to do. So no ego, willing to learn, willing to teach and give advice, and great sounding board, and, you know, a mentor to a lot of these players. I mean, every time you get the opportunity to represent Ireland is obviously an enormous occasion, and the fact that New Zealand are coming over here for our first Autumn Nations Test matches, you couldn't write a better script, you know. People say there's a bit of bad blood, but we're competitive people at the end of the day, and respect the game of rugby and can't wait to hit the ground running. There's been some pretty good grudge matches throughout the year. We went to New Zealand and did something that no Irish team had, ever done, and to slip up in that quarter-final, so close yet so far away, and we just can't wait for this first Test match, and I'm sure they're saying the same thing in their camp.
What a first Test match to be involved with against the All Blacks again, against people that are considered good friends, but country that I grew up in, and yeah, it's going to be exciting, and hopefully I can get the boys in green. That's the main thing. get the young fellas wearing the green colours, not the other ones. I'm sure sounds like they're going to be, so hopefully they stick to that.
It's a funny quirk, isn't it, in the Irish team? But, there are Irish people all around the world. It's nice to have some coming back and taking up residence in Ireland, and that's how James Lowe is playing for Ireland. He's a superstar, though, isn't he?
We've only 6 million people in the country, If in truth, you look at the other nations, the likes of New Zealand, they dip into the islands as well. So we're not the only ones guilty of us.
There's only 5 million in Scotland, so we've got more of an excuse.
New Zealand, Ireland. It's just... But you know what? Obviously, we've made the best of the residency rule. If you've any lineage whatsoever, we will discover it and we will look for you. But they've been huge additions to the Ireland squad over the last number of years. Jameson Gibson-Park, arguably our most important player. James Lowe, that left foot cannon boot. Bundy Aki was shortlisted World Player of the Year last year. These are big players for us, and you need the best of athletes to take on one of the best teams in the world more often than not. At the moment, they're probably at a lower ebb than they have been over the course of the last 30 or 40 years. But New Zealand are always a team to be reckoned with, and they've won last weekend against the odds, came from the jaws of defeat and managed to win. So, Ireland will have to be at their very best to take them on, because they will score tries. Can Ireland outscore them in the try front?
What I love about this, when we were kids, because we're more or less the same age, you would go to see New Zealand play because they're superstars, but now you're going to see maybe Ireland beating them. It's become a proper rivalry, and both sides have a decent chance, John. It makes it very exciting.
Yeah, and I think maybe Draco might be a bit more pragmatic than the Irish players might be, but there's a lot of history there, and you throw in a Johnny Sexton autobiography and some of the stuff that's played out on social media. And I think that's great for the game. That rivalry exists. Quarter-final defeat obviously hurt Ireland. So when the fixtures came out, I saw this one. I thought, this is one of the games that I am not going to miss.
I'm not going to say that Beauden Barrett's not playing because of this photograph, but he was pulling pints in one of our locals, Brian. Gleason's down in Booterstown. He was down there during the week, just as Geordie, I should say, sorry, having a few pints. No Beauden Barrett this weekend, though. Damien McKenzie's starting at 10. Much of a difference for you, Katie?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think Damien McKenzie, the way he plays the game, the way he sees the game is a little bit different. He's very attacking mindset. He plays flat to the line, but both him and Boda Barrett are blessed with pace. I think it's going to be a cracking game, though, isn't it? Fly halves have such a big influence, and he, with the boot he's got, the way he goal kicked, will have a big influence, no doubt, on this game.
But there's no point in being a creative fly half if you're not getting ball. That's the task for both sides. It's going to be animal up front today. Let's talk about some of the newer faces in the Ireland pack. Joe McCarthy making headlines.
Yeah, before he even broke onto the scene, you were hearing whispers that this was a guy that the Ireland pack needed. He offers something a bit different than the second rows that have been there. He kind of has that enforcer vibe to him. Just big, thick guy, hits rucks, carries really hard, abrasive. All of the things that every side is looking for in someone in the pack. Sometimes it's your six, sometimes it's one of your second rows, sometimes it's a front rower. But Ireland are very, very lucky to have him, and he's nailed himself down as a starter these days. And if he can have a big influence in giving Ireland that go forward, it'll go a long way to providing that platform that Katie was talking about.
A concern for Ireland, John, though, will be the front row, because Tadhg Furlong's pulled out this week. This guy is an absolute legend of the Irish front row. Finlay Bealon comes in, good player. He's played a lot for Ireland. Also, Kelleher at hooker. He's been out with injury for quite a long time. Dan Sheehan, the number one choice, not there. So they're not quite on it up front. How will they cope?
Yeah, they're missing a few, and they're missing some real quality there, aren't they? Guys, Dan Sheehan, who's going to miss the bulk of this and the Six Nations. But there's this quality. I, as an outsider looking at Ireland, I think they're the best coached team in the world, and they look the most organised. So if you're going to parachute someone in, parachutes maybe not a fair word because they've been in the environment, but there's coaching and a setup and guys around to get them to know exactly what's required. Their experience, they play it week in, week out with Leinster in their club, so I don't think there'll be many excuses coming from the Ireland camp.
Dare you call it, Katie? Dare you call it?
Oh, wow. Look, I think I'm going to go New Zealand.
Oh. We'll leave it there.
Me too. No, sorry.
It's great to have you here for your only visit to the studio. No, good point. Thank you so much, Katie. Bye five. John, thank you so much. Brian, as always, thank you. And thanks to all of you for watching. We get up and running Friday night on air, 7 o'clock, 8:10 kickoff. Ireland against the mighty All Blacks, and the kick starts 5 more internationals over the course of the weekend, all live on TNT. You won't have to miss a bit of it because it's all on your telly. Thank you so much for your company. I hope you learnt a bit about rugby. If you're new to it, you'll learn a whole lot more over the course of the weekend. From all of us here, take care and goodbye.
Well, matches don't come much bigger than this. Taste buds tingling, folks. They should be. Fabulous rugby from Ireland. Talia for the score. Hansen. They won't stop him from there. Rico Ioane. Can anybody get to him? What champions do. Lightning quick. It's Calvin Bass. Will Jordan yet again. Strap yourselves in for what will be a roller coaster ride.